basically run-in with Air Maxes, or your first love for a pair of Air Max. Can you take us back to that story? What silhouette was it? What was the feeling? How'd you get your hands on it? Everything.
Like in my creative process or creating the
Not
art.
in life in general, the Air Max shoe. Like, what was your first pair of Air Maxes, and what's your favorite pair as well, and why?
I think the MX1 was really cool for me. The original red one it actually belonged to my uncle. So I didn't. I mean, I don't want to gonna say or drop other brands. So there is one brand that I really love. So when I
We
had
we
it,
forgetting about that.
yeah, let's not even talk about that. So yeah, I think the first Amex that came from my uncle when he gave it to me. So I think for me, I don't really have anything insignificant. I think it was for me, it was just the first gift I got, or first pair of shoes of Nike that I ever owned. Yeah, not bought. I never owned. So
Shout out to your uncle. He put you on with the iconic shoe.
I wish I hope he's watching. So
I hope he's watching too. In terms of you, Sanil, what's your favorite? What's your favorite Air Max, and why?
Wow, that question. Uh, Man, that's a tough question. That's like asking what's your favorite song. Uh, for me, I think, you know, when it comes to shoes or sneakers, it's really, yeah, there's the innovation story, there's the design, but ultimately, I like wearing shoes. I like wearing my shoes, just maybe not to the office. Uh, I like wearing my shoes, so I love the story behind the MX1, the original one, because I'm a huge Tinker Hatfield fan. But yeah, these feet here, they're a little bit wide. So MX1s, after a while, tend on the corners. Yeah, I don't know if you guys experience the same thing, but they tend to hurt there. So um, also being 80s baby, 90s lighty, for me, MX 90 is the one I resonate with the most. And I don't want to be cheesy and say the OG colorway, but generally, like, I don't think there's anything better than, yeah, the infrared MX 90. That's my favorite.
Something about Air Max 90s are actually lit. It's also a magical year. Yeah? 1990. Shout out to everybody born in 1990. Giving away age. I'm an old ass dude. But now, I mean, like now we're talking about like the icons, and we're talking the story of icons. That brings me to the question of what makes an icon, what makes those shoes iconic, and if you could just give us a list of the Air Max icons of why they are considered icons besides age.
Ish, asking me tough. Sorry, MK, we gonna hold up for the questions till the end. Sorry. Oh, this guy is wily. Um, I think it's people really. It's context, right? Like some designer in the innovation kitchen goes, imagines a shoe, brand develops the shoe, it's in stores, and then people buy it, and based on how sort of they what's the word, English bundles, um, based on context really, because people kind of determine what is an icon. Culture determines that. It's no brand that goes, we're going to design this shoe, this is the most iconic. And I think, like, speaking of iconic silhouettes, shoes, sneakers, it's culture, man, that determines that, because brands make shoes. Sometimes it flops, maybe first 2 years, right? And it's maybe 10 years later that it kind of picks up. When we look back, we go, there's been a whole culture of whether music, art, which is pretty much true to MX, right? Like if you think of the rave scene in the UK, if you think of sneaker scene in the US, it's the people, it's the kids, it's you guys essentially that determine what an icon is. It's no brand manager, it's no brand, it's no one individual. It's the consumer, it's the community, the people who gather around that product or that brand because they share the same passion, which I would imagine for all of us is sneakers, right? I think we are all obsessed about sneakers, which is why we're always buying new ones. New colorway comes out, you want that one. Yeah.
All right, dope, man, dope, man. But now, in terms of if we were to close off the segment, in terms of what you want people to take away from this open air installation, what would it be?
Yo, I don't know why they give me the tough questions. if yeah, for me, I guess what's the one thing that I want everyone to take away from this is that um, anything's really possible, right? If you use your imagination, because all of this, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go back on brand a little bit and give you guys some history. Like, if it wasn't for a guy who wasn't originally a sneaker designer, Tinker Hatfield, thinking, so like the history of airs, like I think since there was an aeronaut engineer by the name of Frank Rudy, if I remember correctly, who designed air initially. And I think Nike was using the technology for a while before people even knew. And it wasn't doing that well. So you got to think 70s, early 80s, what was like cutting edge technology for running? It's always been foam, right? High density foam or whatever. Along came Frank Rudy. He puts air inside the shoes. Okay, cool. Everyone at Nike's excited. But people, consumer, weren't resonating with it because they couldn't see it. So it's like if I tell you, yo, there's mercury, there's liquid metal inside the shoes, you won't believe it until you see it. And along came Tinker Hatfield, who I guess stumbled upon sneaker design. And on his trip to his inspiration trip to Paris, I think it was, and he saw the Pompidou Center, which is like now this famous building that looks like it's inside out. Right. That's where he kind of got the inspiration to say, okay, there's all these inner, because he's an architect, there's all these inner workings of this building. So, uh, what's this? Air conducts, piping, cabling that nobody could see, but in this building, that is on the exterior of the building. And he applied that thinking to shoes. He says, Nike's got this amazing air technology, cushioning for shoes that they've been pushing. I guess it was a decade later, right? But nobody could see it. And he was the first guy, almost got fired for it, who literally said, let's cut a big hole through the midsole so people could see it. So for me, story that story is just for context. If there's anything I want people to take away from this is, you know, think think of the unthinkable. Uh, really use your imagination to create, you know, your future, a new world that nobody has even imagined. And I think that's what we really want to do with Open Air. You know, it's about inviting these designers. It's about inviting you guys to be a part of this conversation, inviting all the kids who have aspirations to be the next Tinker Hatfield or the first African sneaker designer for Nike to say, you know, use your imagination. Show us really what's possible. If we give you all these tools, we give you all this inspiration, you know, you create the future. So for me, Open Air is really about creating the future.
Beautiful. Now, Zofa,
Okay.
you're up.
My answer's not that long. I think for me, the lesson I've learned, I think during lockdown, um, it's like trying. It's like what I want you guys to take from this exhibition is it's never not cool to try. So just keep trying. You don't never know where it'll take you. I mean, I just went on YouTube and I just found this thing, and I was like, oh wow, let me just try it. And I mean, it just took me to meet a lot of interesting people. Yeah. So I mean, whether you are a fashion designer or you do sculptures or paintings, don't stop trying. I mean, that's all. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love that, man. Try. Don't stop trying. And unless you've got any closing statements for this segment, is it safe to go to the Wolves? Okay, I think you guys are up. You guys can now ask some questions. You can put your hand up. Just make sure I'll just hand them the mic, right? That's cool. Yeah. And I'll serve you the mic. The floor is open. The floor is yours. I want to hear answers and comments as well. We taking questions. Let's see.
I'm saying I like the lineup of people that you guys have in terms of like the exhibition upstairs. How did you guys come about that, and what is it there for them in terms of like going forward? You know what I mean? Between the relationship, Archive, Nike, and the designers, because there's also that thing where brands work with you once and then we never see you after. So what is that you guys are doing to support more of what you guys are doing, which I'm happy about? Shout out.
Cool, no, just keep that one. So I guess there's a lot really, and that's a very, very good question. Um, so this is not going to be the last that we see of this. This is going to be a traveling exhibition. We are hoping to be able to take this at least to Cape Town and hopefully Durban. A lot of the pieces, even beyond the exhibition, will get to live in store. And in terms of, the artists, I guess this is like the start of a relationship. I think as a brand, as Archive, well, as long as I've been at Archive, we haven't really done anything on this scale. So you asked, what was that process like? Sure, it felt like being in a pressure cooker because there was so much to do. And there's that man there who was kind of very instrumental in the whole process. His name's Gustav. Yeah, he really helped him and his agency, Futura, really helped to bring this concept and this campaign, this exhibition, this event to life. So for the artists, I hope this is not the last that we will do. I hope we will do much more in future. And as far as those works, yeah, you guys will definitely get to see them in our stores. And a big component of it is obviously digital. So you can always see it online. I think the Instagram filters are live, the AR pieces are live, and those will be digital. So, yeah.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, good.
Good stuff. My question's for the artist. What made you want to work with Nike beyond the obvious remuneration side of it? What about the ethos and the philosophy of the brand did you buy into? And what is it going to mean for you going forward?
I think one of the things I always wanted to do was work or do fashion AR. I've always been very keen, and I think I was a bit nervous in going into it, so I just kind of focused on getting better in the more technical side of AR. And I think working with Nike, it kind of just pushed me into getting into or getting in depth with fashion AR. So one of my that's like one of the goals I actually want to reach. Having to do digital wearables from T-shirts to dresses to even shoes. So yeah, that for me is one goal I hope I achieve this year. So
Hi, everyone. I have a question towards brand and archive directly. As consumers who consume every drop,
Yeah, yeah,
whether physically,
yeah, yeah.
mentally, wish list like, missing a raffle, what are you guys going to do for us in terms of
Hey,
maintaining the education? Because it can't just be one day because we're consuming every week.
Sure.
And how are you sustaining it for us throughout the year instead of just today?
Why you gotta ask me all the tough questions? As far as that, really, so we've got this amazing blog that we've been developing for a while now, which is where a lot of this content lives right now. So if you go onto blog.archivestore.co.za, if I got that right, you can actually revisit this story. And man, we work around the clock as a team, to keep really pushing, inspiring, telling stories from a content point of view. And obviously being archive, it's really about celebrating history and heritage behind each brand. So this is the first sort of stab and us going in that direction. We hope to do a lot more for and with our community because without that, we are just a retailer. So, like, I mean, if you look at our feed, the kind of the stories and the content that we are creating is really inspired by community, and we're trying to feature a lot more of that. And then, I guess, in terms of products, we've got you. This is the guy actually that's responsible for look at him. I'm not gonna mention his name because then you guys are gonna DM him. But we've got products, we've got stories. Yeah, there's a lot obviously to come down the line, but you know, it's a growth process. It's an evolution. Sure.
Sorry to hog the mic, but in terms of sneaker codes, by the way, guys, like and subscribe YouTube. But in terms of everything, right? Raffles, everything. How are you guys democratizing like the sneakers? Because like you'll find out that there's only 10 pairs in this exact store. How can more kids have access to it instead of just always having to miss a drop? Because that's creating this dangerous resale culture.
Yeah, I mean, obvious question. It's a tough one. That one. We are always doing our best to make sure that whatever drops, whatever product we have, is accessible to everybody, right? And I guess from a raffle point of view, our process is pretty straightforward, transparent. But whether it's, I almost mentioned other brands. You see with every single sneaker drop, it's not, I don't think it's possible for any one brand or one retailer to kind of mitigate that or to kind of fix that. It's it's not even a South Africa or an archive problem. It's a global problem, which is why reseller culture is growing and growing. And I'm going to answer this as Sanele and not necessarily as archive. I think for me, brands somewhere, somehow down the line are going to figure out how to integrate the reseller culture, how to work with resellers, because they are consumers too, right? And I'm not saying I'm for reseller culture necessarily, but I think it does serve a purpose, because where it's not accessible for some, it's accessible for others, right? Because price goes up, which means it's no longer accessible for people who can't afford that price. But for people who are not willing to go into an online raffle or queue outside a store, I guess there's that option. But as a brand, as a retailer, we are, if you knew the conversations, we are working tirelessly to make the product accessible. But you got to understand, like, we don't necessarily manufacture the sneakers. It's the brands that provide us with the product. And there's limitations to that. We get allocations, it's numbers. We've got so many doors. There are so many people who want it. I think it might get to a point, I hope, like, even beyond, I guess, Nike, even beyond Air Max, it might get to a point, it's really about brands making enough product to meet the demand, really. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, cool.
Hey, you gotta pass that mic, man. Hey, you wanna ask me all the tough questions, bro? You're putting me in the pressure cooker. Sure, any other questions?
This gonna be his last one. You allowing him one more?
One more? One more.
One more.
What? I saw a couple of hands up, though, guys. I saw a couple of questions. No more. Hey, this guy.
Nah, this one's actually a simple one.
Sure.
What is Archive doing to bring us more exclusive brands? That's all.
We're knocking on the doors of all the brands. Yeah. So I guess we're creating a platform, really. We're creating a space that the brands want to see their best level product in. This is why we're doing this, from a brand side as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Aha, I love it. The bug got you. It's contagious, this question thing. I know.
Okay. I have two questions.
Hey,
but
yeah, boy.
no, wait. It's the same question, but depending on how you answer the first.
Hey,
never
yeah,
mind.
boy.
Does Archive have their own product
Yeah,
Firstly.
yes, we do.
Okay.
Archive
Okay.
own brand
sure.
apparel. It's somewhere here.
Okay.
Come on,
No,
man.
no, no.
Come on, man.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You understand?
Beautiful. Okay.
You understand?
Then my second question is, this collab, right? It's a cool collab, but does Archive actually collaborate with creatives in terms of building a product that contributes both on your perspective and my perspective? So having a tangible product, because I'm
Sure.
saying this because I've worked with Archive before
How?
for something else, right?
Sure.
Then when I wanted to have a further on conversation for us to build product, it became a bit tricky. You get what I'm saying? And it's not that I don't do numbers. I do crazy numbers when I do things. So, no man. So it just didn't make sense because it was like, okay, no, talk to this person, you speak to this person, then this person gives you this person. So for me, I started just maybe thinking you guys don't actually create.
No, no, no.
Products.
It's a valid question. It's a good
Do you get what I'm
question.
saying?
Yeah. So to answer your question simply, absolutely, we do that. So in the spaces that we do that, is with brands like Leaf. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Leaf Apparel. Because we work with them on the design, we work with them on the production, we work with them as far as launching the product, the entire rollout. We give them the platform and the space to be able to do that. We do it with Leaf, we do it with Dead, and we are definitely looking to do it with a lot more brands. So you can see I'm representing all my local brands out here. This one, maybe not so much. This one too, you understand? MK, don't mention the brands now. So I think that there's definitely a space and a platform that we are creating. We're not 100% there, but that's definitely in the pipelines.
That's definitely a good start. That's super dope.
Do you want the mic? Sorry, you gotta use the mic.
And I think for me, this goes out to everybody, like creators and everything. Sometimes you knock on doors and they don't open at that time. That doesn't mean the opportunity disappears. You might take time, a year or two, and go back to the same opportunity. They might open those doors. So don't always look at like, yo, bamvalela ngaphandle, because that attitude also kills your motivation, your spirit, and your creativity. These people obviously are here to help us, but now abantu, we need to be careful as we're demanding certain things from them, thinking we the A-list. You know what I mean? So, and it's all about culture. Like, if they work with Wanda, I must be happy with that. If they're working with Sneaker Coast, Tip Street, I must be happy with that because